Hi everybody, I'm live here in the Weather Center. We are tracking the storms that rolled through our area. Hope you're having a great Friday. We will chat and get to the latest update on what's going on in the tropics. A lot going on here this weekend. We've got a lot of ball games going on around for practices and whatnot kicking off. It's just been so hot out, just so hot, almost like cabin fever from the wintertime, except for here we are in summertime. So hope you're having a great day. We're going to see how things unfold this weekend because I do expect some changes. Maybe a little more stormy, not as hot tomorrow in some locations, and that's certainly going to be welcome in some locations, but we did have those storms tonight that were rocking and rolling, lots of thunder and lightning. Please let me know where you're watching from, and we'll get this conversation going because there sure has been a lot going on around town. So hope your evening's going off to a great start. Let's track what's going on right now on Live Super Doppler 4. We've got a few remaining showers across Oconee County, Hart County, but look at these storms as they bubbled up today, just one after another, and these storms were quite strong with quite a bit of lightning that rolled on through. Heavy rain, lots of cloud-to-ground lightning that were coming through one after another, and those storms packed a punch with lightning and strong winds. And we had some tree damage in some locations. So let me zoom in and show you kind of how this unfolded. Hope you and your family didn't lose power tonight. They were certainly out there. Here we are in Anderson, Pickens, Greenville, Spartanburg County. Zooming in here, you can see some of those showers as they unfolded here. One right over downtown Greenville. I mean, it just came down hard and heavy. We could hear it over our studios. They rolled on through lots of cloud-to-ground lightning. Let's take a look at the storm reports because we certainly had a lot of those. And I'll show you the rainfall totals. Maybe your yard had a good soaking. Mine could use it. It was all around us. Did not get a drop where I live in Greenville. And I live just on the east side of Greenville. So not too far away from the big stuff. But we certainly missed out on some beneficial rain that we needed, really, for my yard. Here we are, 8 reports of damage, and this was as this thunderstorm in Greenville was collapsing. The winds from that storm went out like this. And our flow today, honestly, has been from the east to the west, almost a tropical type pattern that we've had in place today. And that caused us to have a flow from the east to the west. And interestingly enough, that caused our storms to go from east to west today as well. So the storms that formed moved from Greenville west toward Pickens into Anderson County, where we still had some strong storms but did not have severe reports. As far as rainfall totals, these are radar estimates. So, this time of year with storms, they can be really wild. Your town may have had a little bit more, a little bit less, but almost 2 inches there in Polk County. And that's kind of the common theme here is where you did get a storm, you probably got it at least a solid inch, if not more in some of these locations. But then going back to Anderson County, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Same story back here through the northern part of Lake Hartwell, just south of Clemson University actually, had quite a bit of storm activity. And as yours rolled on through, it gave you quite a bit of rainfall in a very short amount of time. So some street flooding and ponding in the roadways, certainly something that we were keeping an eye out for. So watching it closely here tonight, we do not have the possibility of additional rain tonight other than a stray downpour here or there. I think we're pretty much done for the night. We do have that tropical moisture to our south. Check that out. Interestingly enough, that is almost tropical looking. You can see the swirl here, and this is what we've been watching off the southeast coast all week. And as it made its way inland, it's got kind of the characteristics of a tropical system, but did not have enough of a chance to get going, thankfully. But it sure looks like one as it's sitting here spinning around over South Georgia with quite a bit of rainfall. In fact, there's a big slug of rain right there. This is kind of meandering around and will send us some impacts tomorrow with additional cloud cover and additional humidity giving us extra rain chances. And you can see severe concerns tonight are back toward the north. That's where we're seeing severe weather and risks tonight. That would be up through Chicago, and that's where the storm reports have been confined. Yes, we've had our strong storms here at home, but a lot of those storms have been up toward the Midwest. And watching that closely, they have a high risk for severe weather tonight in Chicago. I mean, we're talking a big night of severe weather, strong winds, gusty winds, tornadoes being possible in some of those locations as those roll on through. So watching this for us as we see our pattern changing as well. We do have a low risk for severe weather in western North Carolina tomorrow. I do think there will be a line of storms that form and begin to move on south as the day goes on. So we have our flow straight out of the south, and you can even make it out. I mean, I am seeing that swirl right there, right over Hilton Head Island. You can see it. It's sitting right there. Yep. You got a little swirl going right in there like that, all right? So that's that system that we've been watching. So it's funneling in extra humidity for us. It is extra humid. Not just normal humid, we're talking extra humid, and it's giving us that extra bit of juice tonight to give us high humidity going into tomorrow. And that's what we'll be watching for, is that it will feel, I think, some more thunderstorms. It currently feels like near 79 degrees in Spartanburg. We were helped by the rain today in many locations. Where it did not rain, mainly on the eastern side of the upstate, you can see we're still hanging on to 86 degrees for a feels-like temperature in Union. Skycam Network shows 76 in Greenville, 77 in Spartanburg. Downtown Greenville sitting at 76 right now. But look at our dew point. That's how we measure how much moisture is in the atmosphere. Ouch. 50s would be comfortable, 60s is muggy, 70s just plain old tropical. Just really, really muggy. 77 in downtown Spartanburg right now. Temperatures in the morning, we'll wake up to the low 70s. It'll be muggy and a fast rise. Griffin put this map together today, and I think it really helps illustrate just how muggy it is out. Tomorrow, we're talking almost off the charts. Sunday, not far behind. But then Monday and Tuesday, it's still sticky out. I mean, it's summertime after all, but it's just not as bad as it is right now. Now, as we look at the 12-hour forecast for tomorrow, temperatures are going to get into the 90-degree range, but notice there's a few extra clouds tomorrow. That's from that system to the south, bringing in some more moisture, extra humidity around. That'll mean for a more cloudy day. It won't be quite as hot as we had today in the low to mid-90s. But there will be a better chance for thunderstorms. Same story in the mountains. Looking at high temperatures tomorrow, certainly very hot, 90 in Spartanburg, 92 in Greenville, but the heat index, when you factor in the humidity, which is going to be higher than that of what we had today, these temperatures, though they're a few degrees cooler than today, may actually feel warmer tomorrow because of just how toasty and humid it's going to be outside. So watching that closely, we're also watching the new computer model. I want to show you this. It just came in, just finished processing. 3:30, 4 o'clock tomorrow, you got your typical afternoon thunderstorms. But I want to take you to tomorrow late afternoon, early evening. There's this piece of energy rolling out of the mountains that could have some heavy rainfall with it. And if it can hold together, we may get some thunder and lightning or some heavy downpours at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10, 10:30, maybe even 11 o'clock in some locations of the upstate tomorrow. So watching that very closely, and my map just fast forwarded on me a little bit. Let me back this up, and I'll get you that here as we're mapping out our forecast for tomorrow and this weekend, because I know you've got plans. I've got plans. It looks like a surge of drier air is going to be trying to work in as we go into our weekend, especially by Sunday. So Saturday, more like a 40% chance of rain. Sunday, about a 20 to 30% chance of rain. So it'll be drier and hotter on Sunday, more cloudy and stormy at times on Saturday. I think both days you're going to find plenty of pool time, plenty of lake time. No worries there. I just think we do have drier air, or at least lower humidity, moving in on Sunday. If your travels take you to the coast, water temperature sits at 85 degrees, which is on course for being normal. The headlines this week, you saw the record-breaking, just unheard of water temperatures in Florida. I'm going to explain that here in about 2 minutes. Bleaching the coral reef. I mean, just terrible how warm it's been. There's a reason for that, and it's because of the lack of storms around the Florida coast right now. It's been really, really calm, really hot and humid. When you have high pressure in place like that, it leads to a couple of different things, which I'll show you here in just a few minutes. But meteorological summer, we are right there past the peak. Yeah, the peak of summer for us is July 15th. So we're about 2 weeks past the hottest part of summer. You know, you're splitting hairs here, but all the way through August 15th, I should say, our average high is 89 degrees. So we're talking a degree or two, but from here on out, temperatures actually will start to get a bit cooler, at least a little bit. Where you'll really begin to feel this is in the fall, which for us, meteorologically, begins on September 1st. All right, today's almanac in the mountains, we topped out at 91 degrees. That's shy of the record set back in 1952 of 98 degrees. And the upstate, officially at GSP, topped out at 94 degrees. That's above that average high of 90, but well away from that record set back in 1952 of 103 degrees. So our low temperatures today, no real crisp readings. Earlier this week, we had a couple of 50s peppered into the mountains. Those are long gone. Hot spot in the region today was Pickens, topping out at 97 degrees. Wind gusts today, we got up to almost 30 miles per hour in Greenville and Anderson with some of those collapsing storms that, again, went from Greenville and kind of collapsed over Pickens and Anderson. Rainfall update this month, we've had 3.65 inches of rain. We're behind about a half an inch, but so far so good this season. We're at about 9 inches, which puts us ahead by a little over an inch and a third. There is a minor drought. Hard to believe, right? But there's a drought area in that first category right over Lake Hartwell. Western Anderson County, over Lake Hartwell up through Townville, into southern Pickens County, right over Clemson University. In that first level of dry. Nothing to be really concerned about. It takes one good storm to kind of wash that away. But overall, the southeast looking pretty good. We've seen plenty of rain this year. Snowpack, none of that. And you have to go way up into Canada to find snow. All the way even here to western Canada. Still a little bit of that hanging around. A little bit of it still hanging out in Alaska. As far as our temperature outlook is concerned, looks like we may start to see a pattern flip. At least the 5th through the 11th, locally, we may get in on some slightly cooler temperatures, at least not being as hot. With that probably comes a better chance for clouds and rain. That's about the only hope you have for staying cool this time of year. You can see that on the day-by-day temperature plot here. Each day I plotted whether the temperature will be above normal or below normal. And you can see here this weekend through early next week, we're above normal. By Tuesday and on, we're averaging pretty normal, near 90, or below there. So 90 would be normal. Below that would be better, right? Active alerts right now. You see the active severe weather ongoing right now for Chicago. Midwest really getting under the gun tonight for severe weather. You got the heat warnings and advisories, alerts from the Piedmont of North Carolina up through Washington, D.C., through New York, up toward Boston. Then you got it up from New Orleans. Almost every single county in Mississippi, most of Alabama, most of Tennessee, Arkansas just boiling tomorrow. We're talking heat indices there above 105 degrees. What's happening here is you got a big ridge. Got a trough down here, a big ridge right here. The jet stream's going like that. So that's what's happening right now, and you can see that with the temperature as I leave the jet stream on there. Drew it pretty good. Could have gone over just a little bit more probably right here. All right. But you see the nation's midsection just baking right here. 95 degrees at this hour, right now. Right now it's 95 degrees. Not a forecast, but what it is right now. Big picture, you can see it. This big Bermuda high pressure sitting right here. That's our friend. We like to see the high pressure in place. That's spinning around right over here. And as it does, it's steering the flow out of the south, giving us plenty of mugginess here from the south. Got another high back here toward the west, spinning around like this. So that's kind of the way the weather pattern is shaped right now in the upper parts of the atmosphere. Temperatures across the country, we've got 90s back toward the west right now. As we pull out to the world, plenty to look at here. You have to go down toward South America to find some cooler temperatures. Just kind of wild. I love doing this. I'm going to look at what's going on in Russia. 60 degrees, going up through here. We've got all kind of different temperatures. It's hard to find cooler weather unless you go to the poles, and that's where you'll find it right now. 30s. Right? Wouldn't it be cool to have a real globe like that just kind of spin around? Tracking the tropics. All right, here's your tropical update. You've been wondering about this. It is that time of the year where things typically get more active. And as we watch this and continue to watch it in depth for a couple of weeks, we're going to be seeing more of this activity. Right now, you see that X over Georgia. That is actually that tropical area we've been watching closely. As it continues to push east or west, it's not got a chance of forming into anything, but what it's doing is it kind of resembles a tropical system. We now have a high chance for a named tropical system over the next 48 hours, likely getting our next name as early as this weekend. But you can see from our computer models that the trend here has been for this to stay out to sea. And in fact, this may not even touch Bermuda. You know, it's not ideal, but if it goes between Bermuda and the Outer Banks, that's no harm, no foul, right? But this thing probably is going to go well east of Bermuda even. Shouldn't even be a threat to them. So we'll be watching that. But again, got this little piece of energy right over Georgia. Again, no chance it becomes a named system, but certainly interesting nonetheless. Hey, the water temperatures, that's taken the headlines. And just for some perspective on it, it's wild. You really don't see that often. But what's causing it is our current weather pattern. What we have in place right now and have had in place is just extremely stagnant air. Now think about your pool. Think about the lake for that matter. Okay? Anytime there's stagnant air and it just kind of sits there, what's the sun doing? It's just sitting there beating down on that water and making it warm. So when the water temperatures are just kind of sitting there, and there's not much turbulence, there's not much wave action, there's no storms to kind of kick everything up, that water's going to get really warm. So we've been under a heat wave here in the Western Carolinas and Georgia. Well, so is Florida. So is the Carolina coast. So that's led to very low turbulence in the atmosphere. Therefore, the ocean has been really low, has seen really low turbulence. And that's led to two things. The water temperature's been really warm, and the sediment in the ocean water just settles down to the bottom. Have you ever been to Panama City Beach? Well, everywhere along the southeast coast look like Panama City Beach over the past couple of weeks at times, and it's because the water turbulence has been so low. But it's also meant it's been really stinking warm. I mean, we're talking jacuzzi level in Florida, and that's dangerous. That has led to temperatures here between the mainland of Florida and the Keys being in the 90s to 100 degrees. Same story here toward the Bahamas. Now, there's a lot more wind turbulence, wind shear right now. You can see it here from the wind streams. That's shaking things up a little bit and making things better in that realm. So that's certainly some good news. And really looking deeper out in the Atlantic, there's just not really much cooking right now. Turn off the wind streams, you can see it more clearly. Watching the Caribbean, the Gulf. Typically, we wouldn't look too far out in the Atlantic this time of the year, but water temperatures are running in this part of the Atlantic about 3 to 5 degrees above where they should be. So we're sitting about 3 weeks early temperature-wise. All right? So it resembles a late August, early September feel out there in the Atlantic. So that's something to look out for. Wave heights, not much going on out there. Not much of note. As far as water temperatures, yeah, you had those crazy numbers right off the coast of Florida toward the Bahamas. Now, activity by month, we typically don't see activity in late July, early August. It's the second week of August, first 2 weeks of September that account for the majority of our named storm systems. Over half, in fact. You add up 25%, 36%. That's more than half of what we typically see in an entire year. Yes, you get storms in October. Some of our worst have come in October, but things begin to trail off. So putting it by numbers, if a typical year brings you 12 storms, 12 named storms, you're going to get an average of 1 in July, but an average of 4 by the end of August. 5 would happen in September alone. So September's our hot spot. Looking at our normal time to the USA, should this thing do something wild right now and decide to turn west or left and come our way, we'd still have between 10 and 12 days to track it before it would be here. So we're talking not this weekend, but next weekend, if it were to come our way. Right now, no signs are pointing to that. In fact, I'll run our computer models out for you to see that, and I'm not seeing it right now. Buoy heights, I've been watching that. This is fun to watch this time of the year. This is live buoy data. Did you know we had that? Pretty neat. You get a wave height, you get the wave period, how far it is, water temperature as well. So ranging in the low 80s right now, 83. But look at this on the west side. The Gulf running about 90 in some locations. You go down here toward the Keys. You've got some higher numbers that have been reported. Up here toward our coast, your travels take you toward Charleston. We've got water temperatures that are anywhere from 85 to 87 degrees. So certainly a lot warmer than it has been. They were significantly cooler than normal in June because it was just a cool June for us. We didn't get to 90 degrees till we hit July. So water temperatures took a little while to catch up there. So nothing to watch as far as tropical mischief is concerned. And in fact, I don't know that we will see anything tropical mischief in the near term that would be a direct threat to us, but it is certainly something that we are always watching. So what can I help you with? What are some things that you are maybe wondering right now? What's going on in your neck of the woods? Michael says, I'm curious as to what the impacts the warmer water temperatures will have for winter. Good question there. That's twofold there. What it would mean is we'd probably have some later activity. So if water temperatures are running warm, I love going to the beach in September. I can't do it as much now with school-age kids, but that's one of my favorite times. The air temperature can be crisp, the humidity can be low, but as you get out into the water, it's still warm. That is probably something that we'll see as an impact going into the fall, is the fact that our water temperatures are probably going to be running warmer in October and maybe even November. So the possibility of a late season system would be on the table. But also, as we move forward, going into winter, El Nino looks to be a factor. Right now, we call it, if there's full-blown El Nino over here, full-blown La Nina over here, we're at like El Nino light. It's not quite El Nino, but it's there. It's pointing that way. By winter, it looks to be full-blown El Nino. So the impacts are lower when it comes to El Nino being light instead of stronger El Nino. So there you go. Thank you for that question there. Ben says it's too hot. I agree. Way too hot. What do you guys have planned this weekend? For us, got a couple of birthday parties. It's that time of the year. My niece turned 2 years old. My nephew, my brother's son, actually born just a week after his sister. He's older, but doing a double birthday. Of course, just taking it together and going to do a little grill out and some pool swimming. It's going to be fun. So we'll be dodging a few storms probably at some point before the evening's over with, but one of those days. Thank you. Janie says, happy birthday. Yeah, too sweet, too sweet. My oldest just turned 8 years old in July, so yeah, we've had some birthdays here locally as well. It's the month of birthdays in my family. December's another big one. Mine's December 1st. My dad's the day before me. Pretty neat. How are the kiddos at home? Everybody's good. Everybody's doing good. Jennifer. George, how are the apples looking this year? Regina says, my mom turns 90 on August 5th. Well, happy birthday to your mom, Regina. George, apples are doing great. So far, my dad, my brother tell me the freeze impacted some varieties to where it kind of thinned them out a little bit. But the freeze that got the peaches, they were out a lot earlier than the apples. Apples are looking okay. Apples are looking just fine right now. And in fact, if the hail can hold off, if they can continue to make it until harvest without hail, it'll be a really good crop. Buffy says, hope next weekend's nice for our adopted son's party. All right, Buffy, I sure hope so too. George says, we love coming to Justice Orchard. All right, George, thank you. Love to see you up there sometime. Jason, my oldest son's birthday is 12/1/95. All right. Happy birthday. Share a birthday together. How about that? December 1st is a fun day. It's far enough away from Christmas that you can enjoy it. My brother's birthday, get this, is December 23rd. My mom's is Christmas Eve. So we're all in December. My whole entire house growing up. All four of us were either November 30th or all in December. Brittany, I saw you at Roper Mountain today, and your kiddos are looking so grown up. Oh my gosh, they are. They really are. I got a picture. I think I got a picture today. We had a blast. Yeah, I got one right here. Here's my bug. It's the oldest 8-year-old. He was looking out at the robot there. It looks like the robot was doing some things. We love the Roper Mountain Science Center. Great time. Edward, warmer waters, more or stronger hurricanes? Yeah, that's unfortunately the culprit there, Edward. Claire, moving college kids to Charleston this weekend. Hope it stays dry. You'll probably run into some storms tomorrow, Sunday, a bit drier. So you're probably doing both days. Looking for that. Tammy, so no worry about tropical systems for Myrtle Beach in the next 10 days. Not that I can see. Nope, you should be just fine. There will be some storms, some afternoon storms, but I don't think you're looking at a washout in Charleston or Myrtle Beach at any given time. Looking just fine. Looking just fine for that. So there you go. Yeah, stronger hurricanes and additional hurricanes will be the threat moving into moving into our time frame here, probably August and September, we're running about 3 to 5 degrees, which to us is okay, 3 to 5 degrees, but to the hurricanes and to the tropics, 3 to 5 degrees is everything. It can lead to more strength and more rapidly intensifying system. In fact, I have a graphic I'll show you on that. It's basically like putting on the table what's the worst case scenario. What are we looking at here as far as potential if conditions were ideal? Let me pull up my tropical graphics. I know I saved it here today. Here it is. So with this comes some questions. So let me explain it here for you. I'll load the graphic up. So this is heat potential. So what's the potential in the ocean if something were to form? If we were to take the ideal system and put it at point X, Y, and Z, all right? Well, if anything were to get into the Caribbean or the Gulf, that's where we're going to have some trouble. Not so much out here. The heat energy, the fuel, kind of like storm fuel for us here at home, it's there. You know, anything in this blue would indicate conditions favorable or supportive of a tropical system, but it's just not, it's not crazy. I mean, it's certainly there. It's something that we would look out for, but it's not off the charts, if you will. Okay, the blues kind of stretch right in here. This is our main development region, and we'll see that change, of course, in the coming months. But where we do see problems, right in here, anytime you start reaching this yellow, that's where things would turn from a tropical storm to a hurricane. That's because you would have that extra fuel giving it that oomph. But should something track into the Caribbean, now again, this assumes ideal conditions. This computer model doesn't assume what's happening in the air, all right? It doesn't know that there's wind shear there or a big jet stream dipping down or Saharan dust. This is simply looking at the ocean content, what's going on right now. Should a storm be ideal, not have wind shear or anything like that impacting it, if it were to get into the Caribbean, it would likely intensify very quickly. Same story for the Gulf. If a storm right now were to get into the Gulf, it would have the potential to begin to increase pretty quickly in intensity. We're not seeing that. That's not on the table right now, so certainly good news there. But good question. And I think that's a very effective map that this time of the year we can show you to be able to look at those type things. So, yeah, good question. All right, guys, we're about 15 minutes away from showtime here on WYFF News 4. Carol Clark, Nigel Robertson behind me. They're getting things tied up in the newsroom for the news coming up here live at 11 o'clock. A brand new computer model comes in. It'll time out those evening storms I'm watching for Saturday. I think a few of those may contain some lightning. One of those situations where we may actually have that. Jennifer, thank you for always answering questions and being so open and honest. Community, best meteorologist in town. Hey, Jennifer, thank you so much. You're very kind. Very, very kind. George, you're very welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great weekend. A nice one on tap. I mean, yeah, we'll have some rain and storms at times, and yeah, it's going to be really hot, but really going to be a nice weekend overall. And the tropics aren't looking terrible right now. That's certainly good news. Anytime we can say that going into August is a good day, right? Is a good day. So hope you guys have a blessed weekend. I will keep you posted, and anything changes, we'll let you know. Otherwise,